Welcome to the Decide to Move podcast, helping entrepreneurs like you make smart, pivotal shifts in your life and business. Tune in each episode for inspiring stories from brilliant business minds and trailblazers to find out how they made their big moves and how you can too. Now here's your host, author, speaker, business strategist, CEO, and founder of Decide to Move, Monica M. Bijou.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I am always excited for my amazing guests that I have. They come with so many different great nuggets and strategies to teach you how to actually go to the next level in your life and in your business. And that's what I'm all about, teaching my audiences and also my guests how to actually have those little tips and strategies that actually will help you instead of just being another talk show or another podcast where we're just having a conversation. We're having a conversation, but we're bringing you value. And so today is no different. I have a woman that's going to teach you how to flex your brand and tell your brand story, which I am so grateful to hear. And the reason that she's so great at doing this is because she is an empathic marketing-promo writer. And so she crafts compelling, intuitive content that helps empowerment industry skill professionals and thought leaders like you. So that way you can actually come from a different place of helping your clients definitely get to the next level because of the fact of all her little skills that you'll hear about, that she comes from a different place where she can really give you some impact-filled information. So without further ado, let's welcome Aleasia Hurt. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored and glad to be here.
Most definitely. I'm so glad to have you back. I know that we did a little introduction in my group, CEOs on the Move, and now I get to have you on the podcast, which I'm super excited about. And great to see the great things that you're doing. It's like I love to see connections and how they've grown and developed in their own space. So it's just great to see you again.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Same here.
Yeah, so I'm loving your logo. I'm loving your graphics behind you, HURTNPOET. So before we get into actually teaching people about brand, flexing their brand story, tell everybody who you are, where are you located, and how did you get started?
Well, basically, I'll start with my name again, Aleasia. Everybody calls me Lisa. Flex Your Voice Content Marketing, LLC. And basically, I got started with writing poetry, actually. And then it just transitioned into resume writing and things like that. But I found my niche in marketing promo writing. And that's where I've stayed because I really love it. I like writing poetry, but that's like self-care for me. So, but the marketing promo writing is where I really feel like I empower people. And that's where I am right now.
Oh, that's great. And so where are you joining us from?
I am joining you from North Carolina, Burlington, North Carolina.
Love my North Carolina.
By way of Virginia, I will say. I'm originally from Virginia. So
okay. Yeah, I had the privilege of living in North Carolina for 12 years. That's the longest place I've ever lived in my entire life. Honestly,
wow.
I've moved around a lot. And so North Carolina was the one place that I stayed for quite a bit of time. My daughter went to school there, like she basically was raised there. But yeah, it has a special place. Mm-hmm. You'll always learn little new things about me every time we talk.
Yes, that's a fun fact there. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. It's a place that it has a special place in my heart always. It definitely does. Okay. Yeah, so I'm excited. So what helped you find your niche? What was it about helping with promo marketing that really was something that stood out for you?
Because I feel like when I would consult with people, I felt myself giving them things and helping them out and helping them find their way to where they're trying to go. And then I just started writing more and more about on different platforms, like your websites and your social media and your different places like that. And I was like, and I like marketing too, because I did regular marketing for companies for a while. So just putting all that together along with my background in social work And then it just all clicked. It came together. And I was like, yeah, I like to promote people. That's what it's all about, marketing for people. And then there's the content marketing, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. But that's how I started with marketing writing, is just about empowering people. And when I realized that's the space I wanted to be in, I just kind of made it all work.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier before the show about some special skills that you have that makes it even easier for you to tap into that place. Do you mind sharing?
I do not mind. So my background is social work, and of course, everybody knows you have to have certain interviewing skills, and you have to be able to put yourself in their place, whoever you're interviewing. And so with over 36 years of that kind of experience, and then, I realized sometimes I feel like, and it's scary, sometimes I feel like I can read minds sometimes, right? And I understand where they want to go with something. It's like they have a difficult time not only communicating, but also putting that to action. So it's like I know what I want to do. I just can't say it. And I don't know where to start. And that's that's the skills that I love, and being able to really feel and understand where a place where they're coming from, and what they want to see in their lives moving forward.
Yeah, we've talked before as a fellow therapist, that is definitely a special skill that helps you in so many different places. And also something that you said, like, you can feel it. Being an empath, for those that don't understand what that is, it's kind of like you can feel that person's emotion. You can connect on a different level. And I'm not talking about connecting like, oh, like I'm in love with you or anything, but it's like I can actually feel and understand what is going on. So then now I can help you take it to the next level of helping you with some solutions that work according to who you are, not what just other people are saying that they think you should be, or what I want you to be, but what's really going to be working for you. So how does that help you when it comes to, say, your clients and helping them with their marketing promo?
So pretty much, during the 30-minute consult, I always perform my due diligence first. And I think that's the key. When someone reaches out to you, you have to do your own thing and figure out, how can I help them? But secondly, sometimes what you read or what you hear or what you see is not that person at all. And that's where the marketing promo writing comes into, right? Because I'm taking people to another level and getting them to think, because like you mentioned, as an empath, sometimes they don't even see their own goodness, their own greatness, and their own power. And I have a passion for bringing that out of people. And when you bring that out of people and they see the content after, it's like it like blows them, because they're like, yeah, that's me. But it's things that they never really ever picked up on about themselves and how they are able to help their target audience. Because that's what it's all about, is being able to relate to your target audience. That's what it's about. And it's about something in you, something about you, your experiences, your journey that connects to their target audience. And you have to pull that out. You have to be able to pull that out in order to make this thing work.
Yeah, most definitely. That is good, because I know that there's so many content writers out there, and people, copywriters and different things like that. And so I loved when I talk to people that's in that space, how they come with such different places and different personalities, and which helps people really understand that you have to find the person that resonate with you, because this market is big, right? And so you often have people go, well, why should I do it? There's so many other content and copywriters. What makes me stand above the crowd? But you just explained how your own style is so different than some other person. So no one can actually do it the way that you do it.
Nobody. And I tell my customers, my customers that, because, you know, I work, and I don't know if I mentioned, but basically my avatars are the coaches, consultants, speakers, podcasters, authors at times, and mental health advocates, and, you know, people of empowerment, you know, coming from a place of empowerment, right? See how I bridged the two? But so of course, those industries are saturated, correct? Mm-hmm. So they have to really, really stand out. So that's what I do. During our consultation, I'm going to find that. I'm going to find what makes you unique, right? And then I'm going to craft that content around that, because your story, and even if there are two business coaches, the stories are not going to be the same. Their brand stories are not going to be the same regardless, right? And it's just about building on that to create that content.
And that is so true. And for me, I actually have seen that a lot, where people shrink themselves because they're afraid to be out there. They're afraid to, you know, tell their story, not understanding the riches is in their story. Your mess is your message, right? That is how people can connect with you. And that's why I always have people, when they're coming on the podcast, to tell their story. What got them into their space, or what trials and tribulations that they go through to get to where they are, because you want people to be able to connect with you. Anybody can go and tell, you know, about whatever, but why should somebody listen to you? So it's definitely in the story. It's definitely in the connection that makes a difference. So you talked about, yeah, most definitely. And you talked about branding, and so flexing your brand story. Can you go into more details about what does that actually mean?
Sure, absolutely. So a brand story is your journey, your experience, and how you going to relate that to your target audience, right? So as an empathetic copywriter, it's my job to ask the right question. It's my job to be able to basically break that down in layman terms, so your avatars, your target audience, can understand how it relates to them. So when you are telling your brand story, I need to say this because this is huge. Many people, entrepreneurs, in telling their brand story, you know, they are anxious, I guess is a good word, about sharing their journey and experience, right? But I want everybody to know that that is the bridge, that is the emotional bridge that connects your business to your audience, that connects your brand to your audience. And we can pick and choose. I'm not saying that you have to, you know, go all there and give details, but be able to and feel confident in sharing that, because your why is your brand. Your why, your pain point, their pain point, right? All of that. How are you solving their problem? So how in the world would they know that if you're not sharing that? And you don't have to do it every time. I mean, some people would go and share that story every time before they speak, or every time before they start a podcast. And if that's the way you do it, that's your thing, then by all means do it. But at the same time, you're going to need some content that goes along. Because I will say this as well. When you're out in front of the crowd, make sure that you know that they are doing their due diligence as well, because they are researching. especially during this pandemic. These people out here looking for some help. But if your website is saying one thing, your social media is saying this, your bio is saying this, they get confused and next. You know what I mean? So make sure all that is connected, but make sure you're connected to your audience as well. And that's what a brand story is all about, is about your journey, your experience, and your willingness to be transparent, and your willingness to say, I did that too, and I want to help you through it like someone helped me, or no one was there to help me. So this is how I'm going to help you solve your problem. This is how I'm going to turn your pain points into your story. And that's the way I feel like I connect with my customers.
And that is so true. I feel like, I think one of the biggest things is that when entrepreneurs are coming on the scene, and I know as a therapist, we're taught not to tell your story. A lot of coaches are not therapists, but there's therapists out there that we're taught you don't tell your story. You don't show anything personal. You keep your family stuff hidden or anything else like that. But I think that back in the day when all that started, was when people felt like they had a hierarchy, like I'm better than you. And so I'm not going to, but I realize that when I do share a piece of who I am, like when I tell people, I totally understand. I had my daughter at 17, and what does society say happens to a 17-year-old having a child out of wedlock? And they're like, probably on, food, state assistance and having more kids. And they're able to, so from that point, they listen. I'm like, okay, well, you're absolutely right what society say, but instead she's sitting here with you with a few masters, you're there, like an officer in the Air Force, like, and I go through that. And I said, and I'm telling you this, not for you to go, oh my gosh, look at you, but to say, you're able to do whatever you choose to do. And it takes the shield off and this disconnect of them feeling like, oh, well, she probably thinks that she's all good, where it allows them to automatically connect because like you understand what pain looks like. Okay, I know that you're a person to help me. And the same thing as a business coach, same thing. When I came out on the scene, these are the things that I have, or I've been exposed to a coach that didn't understand me. They weren't hearing me. They had their own agenda, and I struggled. I did not connect. I spent a lot of money for a good hard lesson. So I teach my clients how I start where they are and help them get to where they want to go without trial and error. Forget all the fluff and all this stuff and like, ooh, like we gonna throw some paint on the wall or some spaghetti on the wall, hope it stick, and that might be what you're gonna do. No. And that's the part that makes a big, huge difference. So I appreciate you sharing that, what that looks like for people. Be okay to be vulnerable. It's when I have clear boundaries. And so a person can only hurt me if I allow them to.
Yes.
If I allow you to, then I don't allow too many people to get, thinking that like soon as I see it, I'm like, oh, let's nip this in the bud real quick.
Right. I mean, it's strategic.
Yep.
And so when you're telling your brand story, just be strategic about it. Who are the people that you want to connect to? But I want to say this too. You have to make sure that you're clear about who you want to connect to. That's one thing. And two, research what their pain points are. Know exactly what they're looking for when they're looking for that coach or looking for that speaker or podcaster. Know exactly what they are looking for in whoever they're searching, which industry they're searching for. But I think that is so key because if you haven't honed your message, if you haven't honed that brand story to relate it to your avatars, or if you say you're going to work with 55-year-old women then why are you talking about something, that relates to a 20-year-old? So these are the things, and that's a little, minor type of sample, but at the same time, my point is, get your message right. Get your message right, and everything else, your mission right, your mission and your vision, which, your brand story is a part of that. But getting that mission statement and that vision right, then that's your roadmap to success. Because once you follow that, you know where you want to go and you know who you want to take with you on that journey.
And that is so true. So basically, to bring it all home, when you're giving your message, you want two things. One, to be authentic to yourself. And because not every client is your client. So when you're researching that client's pain point, you're researching the clients that are ideal to work with you, that you feel comfortable, not just saying, oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, everybody that has, that need an email list, I'm going to sit there and see what their pain points are, when that's not your target audience. So what an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old is looking for is different than what someone that's more mature is looking for. So being authentic and also being able to know exactly what they need. So yeah, that's great information. I appreciate that.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
When you start doing, honing your message, just make sure, like we said, you know who they are, but also be sure to get that content out there and hone it and hone it and own it is what I always like to say. And that's all I was going to close with on that.
Oh yeah, that's great. So what I was going to ask is, what strategies would you say to someone to really start getting their message out there? I know you mentioned research. What are some, well, we'll get into the research part, but what is like some of the things that you recommend that they do in order to really, one, tap into themselves as well as who their audience is and what their audience want?
Sure. So, okay. So let's start with tapping into yourself. Okay. So a lot of people that start things as a hobby, right? So if you want to transform that into a business, what is it that what is your unique selling point? And keep that USP, keep that in mind. What is your unique selling point that you can turn this into a business? So if you need a coach, or if you need a writer to help you identify that unique selling points, because some people have so many talents that they're all over the place, right? But come on, let's hone it in. Which one do you want to actually make a business? So first of all, understand your unique selling points. Second of all is your value proposition. How can you add value, and where are you going to position it? That's basically what it is. So USP and value proposition. But thirdly, know that you're ready to tell that story so you can capture the hearts of your target audience. I think those are three things that when you come to the table saying, okay, I want to start this business, or you have been contemplating it and you have tried to put it out there, but it just wasn't working, that's probably part of the problem. I mean, because I can contest to that. I've tried this thing 3 or 4 times, but I was all over the place. I was a poet. I was writing resumes. You know what I'm saying? But I had to say, look, this ain't working. So what is it that you really want to do? How do you want to help people with your writing? And I had to sit and I had to really contemplate that thing to get where I am now. And I'm telling you, once I honed it, it's skyrocketed. And that's what I want to help, my potential customers. That's what I want to help them do. I just want to help them know where they want to go, to identify where they want to go, their vision, mission, and vision.
That's great. That's great stuff. I hope you guys got that, especially that USP. Yeah. What's your unique selling point? Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So then what's ways that you talked about research? What are ways that they can actually find, or places that that they can go look to find the pain points for their target audience?
So, well, Google is always good. And it's so easy. It's simple. It's simple, Monica, because all you have to do is put in 55-year-olds, such and such state, who need help with. And I'm telling you, it would generate. You'd be surprised it would generate. But, and this is very difficult because of the times, right? The signs of the times. But a good way to do it is go where your target audience will go and start asking questions. So what do you think are ways to help you? Ask your target audience questions. Find out how your business can help them. I mean, that's and you can do it now through email. You can do it now through social media. Start challenges. If you answer these 5 questions for me, you get a free something, because that's where it starts. You have to ask your customers, your audience, how can you help them with their pain points? That's where you can start.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about going where your client is. Well, now, especially with COVID and the pandemic and things happening, it's hard for people to really get out. And now people are super cautious. So you mentioned email, and doing challenges. And another thing I want to add to that is even joining Facebook groups where your target audience lives. Like if you want to be with coaches and entrepreneurs, you go to a place that deals with coaches and entrepreneurs. If you want to deal with higher end CEOs or something like that, you just put in CEO on the in Facebook search, and you will see all the people that have something with CEOs or different things like that. So you join groups with like-minded people, participate in a post, you comment, respond to other people's, that whole thing about you go first. If somebody posts something, go ahead and be the first person to comment. You never know if that person will comment back. And then next thing you know, you have you guys are connecting, and then that person directly message you, and then that might end up becoming your potential client. You don't know. And that's one thing that people do not understand. It's like they get afraid or whatever, but you have to connect with people in order to really, like if you want to work with people, you can't hide.
Like I used to do.
Yes. Right. But then that's why I was like, okay, so you're gonna be and go do live in my group, right? We're featuring you.
Yes, you did. I was like, oh, okay.
Because I'm all about that. When I, as an empath myself, when I see potential in a person, I pull that out of them. I help them. But there's not a lot of people that's out there that's like that. Like in my group, I pay attention to people that I see, people that are doing things. Since I was having a lot of medical stuff, I had to pull back a little bit. But 2021 is going to be back to that place where it's like people are going to be showing up, practicing the group. We had a 9-year-old CEO that was in there, 10-year-old CEO that I interviewed in the group. She's 10. I actually interviewed 11 CEOs. They're you can go on the podcast and find them. They're young moguls, 11 of them from the 12 altogether, from the age of 9 to 16. And their visionary author, they did a collaborative book. Their visionary author is a multimillionaire. She actually has Xandra. She has products in over 700 Target stores. So when you have 9 and 10-year-olds that are little CEOs that are now authors, what's holding us back? Kids,
that's right.
They always say out of the mouth of babes, kids do not their inhibition is lower. They don't have restrictions until we as adults put those restrictions on them. But they're very creative. They don't worry about what other people are thinking or anything else like that. And so as an adult, what my biggest question when you ask the why, that's why I was smiling when you said it, is I ask people that too. What's your why? Like, why are you wanting to write your book? Why do you want to be more visible? Why do you want to be more authoritative in your area? What is it? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because one, that's going to keep you anchored. To me, that's your foundation to keep you anchored and to keep coming back to that. So, after that, it's like, okay, what do you do then? So I appreciate you breaking it down and really helping people understand how to connect with their audience. So what are some
my pleasure.
Most definitely. What's some other ways that they can flex their voice?
Okay, so basically, you can flex your voice on so many platforms, right? So what I do is give you that option. You know what I'm saying? So when I say I perform my due diligence, I'm going to find out. I really feel like I go a step beyond as well, because I'm going to show you. I just got off a consultation today, and I connected her with people, and oh, who you should be connected with. They'll probably get you. I do all of that. And I'm going to let you know where I feel the groups that I'm involved in. Oh, this will be a great group for you. You need to go on there and go live, connect yourself. So I do a lot of extra, I do a lot of that. But as far as content in itself, I'm going to, engage you. I'm going to interview you. I'm going to find out what it is that will help you. Okay, and I need to say this to Monica. We all want to make money in our businesses, but being an empath and being a writer, I don't want to just try to get your money. I don't want to just. I write with a cause, with a purpose, right? I internalize your brand. I become your brand when I'm crafting that content, right? So that means I'm representing myself as well. But I'm going to let you know, if I go on your website and I feel like you want me to write this intro about you, but your website doesn't represent who you are, So what do you think about getting your website rewritten so it'll match who you are? It'll match this intro. You're working so hard to get this intro out there, but then when they go to your website, it's a totally different story. When you go to your social media, what do your posts look like? Does it represent your challenge that you're trying to do now? Does it represent who you are, why you are, how you are? Does it do all that? So I would say, if we consult, tell me what your vision is. Tell me where you think your business can go. Where do you see yourself as a household name? Then this is what you need to become that household name. So, I'm very passionate about that. I feel like, I say 30-minute consultations, complimentary, but I can be on the phone for somebody for an hour, but I don't think about the money part. When I get off that phone, I know I help them. I help them, whether you decide to use my services or not. I directed you to a good place to get you going. So that's what I think is all about.
And I think that's why we connected so well, because that's my style too. When I'm doing a coaching session with someone, and it's like, I can give you tools, strategies, and I will give you the how, help you with certain things. But I know that at the end of the day, if you really wanted to work with me, you'll come back. And I've actually had clients that I helped a year ago that have come back to me that are now my private coaching clients because of the fact that I actually helped them and the time. And they're like, you're actually giving me advice for nothing and just really giving me good strategies. And now that I'm ready to work with a coach, why would I go to anybody else? I actually had one say that. And I was like, you know, my thing is I always want you to go with the person that you feel comfortable with. Like I said, why would I go anywhere else?
Right.
And that's such a good feeling to me for a person to come back, because I never want anybody to feel as if I'm pushing them and pulling them, because I don't like it myself. The more a person is constantly like after me, the more that I'm like, I pull away.
Push back.
Like you think about a child. When we go run after a child, what do? They run, right?
Run fast.
When you're chasing them. Yeah, when you're chasing them, they're running like, oh no. And that's the same thing. And I actually had somebody do that. They actually asked me to watch a webinar, and I've been super busy, and they send me a message every day. Did you watch the webinar? Did you watch the webinar? Finally, and I was like, no, I didn't get a chance to. I'll catch you next time. Oh, well, here's a replay. Everybody else has to pay for it, but I'll give it to you free. Great. I appreciate it. The next day, did you watch the webinar? You know what? It hadn't even been 5 hours yet. So I'm just gonna like what are you going after? You want me to watch this webinar so what? I could potentially be a client. I can tell you what, your style will not ever make me be a client of yours. And that's one of the things that people don't understand. You just patiently wait. Hold space for someone, like literally hold space, and then the person will come to you. They're meant to be. And I think that's one of the biggest, huge issues with a lot of coaches and other powerhouses is that when people are chasing after everyone, no one knows where they're going.
Where they going?
So it's like, no, you need to scale back and think about it. Would you hire you doing that? Like, would you hire yourself? If somebody else was doing that to you, would you actually go for them? And if the answer is no, then you might need to change your game.
Change your game. And you hit on a couple of things there about brand awareness and brand loyalty. There are two huge things for me as far as writing that content, because in crafting it, I think about their avatars, and I'm thinking when I'm crafting the content, how can I make sure that their customers want to come back to them, right? But I also tell them, listen, this is what your content is saying. This is from our consultation. This is what I'm hearing you say. So now you have made them aware of who you are. Now it's your job to execute so you can get them coming back. So that, you hit on that, and I just wanted to make sure, I wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm all about execution. Like, we can come up with a plan. My style is we're going to come up with a plan that's personalized, a strategy that's personalized, that's based on you and your audience, and then implementation and execution. And a lot of times people don't understand that. I have to sometimes start all the way back with mindset, really helping people understand, get the mindset piece together.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, oh, I don't want to do mindset, woo kind of stuff, but they don't understand everything starts with mindset. Everything. If you say I want to, make, $1 million, like, your clients probably come to you and you're like, okay, I'll go, oh, I want to make 7 figures. And you have to be like, well, first of all, wait a minute, woo. Slow your roll. I mean, we're going to help you get there, but yeah, because then once you're working with them, you find out, like you said, their stuff is all over the place. There's not any clear direction. For me, I've had clients that have limiting beliefs around money. And so you say you want to make 7 figures, but you really, truly don't believe that you deserve that. And then what are you going to do with it once you got it? Because if you're chasing the dollar, you're going to be unhappy. So what is your why? What do you want to stand for at the end of the day? So that's huge. I love that. So is there anything else, any other strategies or anything else that you feel is important to help people flex their voice, flex their brand, and make sure that their story is connected to everything that's representing them?
Well, I think I would close by saying this: clarity, credibility, and consistency. So that's what I want to close with. And that's where you need to be with or without your new content, right? But whatever you do, remember though, there's actually 7 C's of communication, but we're just going to focus on the 3. Credibility, consistency, and it's so important to be clear. So and that's for them in order for your customers to have clarity, you definitely have to have clarity. So just if you don't remember anything from this conversation, clarity, credibility, and consistency.
Yeah, most definitely, because confused minds don't purchase anything.
Right.
It's like if you ever go do something like, I don't even understand this, you're gonna shut it down and be like, I'm not going for it.
I don't get it.
Yeah. When my brain is like, I don't get something and I feel overwhelmed, I do a shutdown moment and I let people know, quit. I have literally shut down on you. I'm not hearing nothing that you saying after that. It's like Charlie Brown won't after that.
Want.
Exactly. So Lisa, how can people contact you, follow you, and just stay connected to you?
All right. You can contact me on Facebook at HURTNPOET LLC. That's where most people connect with me. Also on LinkedIn. Also, you can contact me on Messenger, Facebook Messenger at any time, because that's where, people hit me up there all the time. You can also visit my website. There's a way to contact me there. I will get that. www.HURTNPOETLLC.com, and you can get my phone number and all of that there. So pretty much I'm all over social media, so you can find me. Just put in Flex Your Voice or put in HURTNPOET, you'll find me.
Most definitely. We'll make sure everything's in the show notes for those that are driving. Those that are viewing this via YouTube, it's going to be in the description. And so you definitely can stay connected with Lisa. She is awesome, amazing. I connect with people that I know that is very like-minded and like-hearted, and I always enjoy bringing them onto the podcast so that they can also connect with my audience and stuff, because my audience know I'm not going to just bring them any and everybody. Trust me, not everybody makes it on the platform. I do interest calls for that very reason, because I want to make sure that people are not coming over on and not providing value and or coming from an authentic place. I struggle with people who with authenticity. That's like not something that I'm fond of. So thank you so much, Lisa. It has truly been a pleasure having you on Decide to Move, where we're all about taking people from where they are to where they're destined to be. And all of you that are listening via YouTube or watching via YouTube or Apple or Google Play, whatever is your listening platform, thank you so much for joining me. And you guys have a great and wonderful day, and Happy New Year to you. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Decide to Move podcast with Monica M. Bijou. If you are ready to make a pivotal shift and take your destined position in the world, then schedule a free discovery call by going to www.decidetomove.com. For all links mentioned in today's show and to listen to previous episodes, go to www.decidetomovepodcast.com. And remember, we've all been delivered rotten fruit in our past. We can choose to chew on the rotten fruit trying to convince ourselves it's what we want, or we can become the fruits of our labor and create an incredible, fulfilling, and inspiring life and business out of it. You have what it takes to create the life you want.